Hi, Sandy here, and today I'm back to negative painting. And this is the most basic, simple, beginner level video you will see on negative painting because I have read all your questions, all your doubts, and I'm here to answer them all, so let's do it. Okay, so negative painting technique is essentially painting around your subject instead of the subject itself. And as you continue painting the background instead of the subjects, you're able to create a notion of depth and make some elements look further away than others, which is the kind of awesome 3D effect we're looking for, to make our watercolor painting look more refined and detailed, when in fact, we still don't quite know what we're doing and are still learning. For today's exercise, I'll have like 3, maybe 4, I could use the bottom of this mug, yeah, like 4 different sized circle templates. Well, a lid, my tape, a mug, and my glue lid. You can use a compass, although I am a little bit nervous with the idea of piercing the paper and then adding water to it and paint. I'm afraid it will seep through to the other paint, and that's the only reason why I don't use a compass, because I am afraid that will happen. So this is my Bahong Master's Choice paper, 100% cotton paper, and the reason why I use good paper for this exercise instead of cellulose, cheaper paper, is because we are going to add a lot of water and we are going to add a lot of layers. And with cellulose paper, it doesn't really absorb water that well, and even when it does, it comes to a point when you've added so many layers that it just doesn't absorb anymore and it ruins the whole thing. So you kind of need, for negative painting, for adding layers and layers, you kind of need good quality paper that will absorb the paint well, and that you can basically add as many layers as you want without the paper disintegrating. Okay, so for me, that's Bahong today. So let me start so I've got my paints already activated, I've got my paper, and I'm just going to start by adding my circles. This is a really small paper, so I can't really do a lot of these. This, one of each, so it's perfect. This is, medium grain, but it kind of looks like really grainy, but it's not, it's medium. It's just the way it's built. Okay guys, and here we have it, our first 4 circles. We don't need many, this is just a simple exercise. Okay, so now we start to paint, and one of the questions I've been asked the most is, can we use bright colors for negative painting? And my answer is yes, of course. And I know I tend to keep to blues and greens when I'm making negative painting videos, but it isn't a requirement, okay? So today we are using yellows, pinks, oranges, and reds. Big rule number 1, we always go light to dark with negative painting. Well, actually with watercolors really, you can't go dark to light. It has to be light to dark anyway. Big rule number 2, you have to wait for a layer to dry before adding another one. Now you can either wait, and I'm not very good at waiting, or you can make it dry with a hairdryer or a heat gun, like this one over here. Also, you have to be careful and make sure you don't go over those subject lines, okay? Use masking fluid if you prefer. Just remember, you can't make masking fluid dry. You have to wait for it to dry. Plus, it's really stinky. Just saying. Your choice though. Okay, let me just go ahead and wet all this paper. And yes, today I will be wetting the circles too, but you can keep them nice and white, okay? No problem, it is up to you. But for me today, I am wetting the whole thing. Wet it enough to make it shiny, but don't make a pool. And be aware, if you're using cellulose paper, it will dry much quicker than cotton paper, okay? Because it just doesn't absorb as well. It doesn't take in as much water. Okay, now I am using a very light yellow to start. If you think it's too dark, go back, get more water, and spread that paint all over your sheet, just like that. If you think it's too light, it probably is, because once it's dried, it will be lighter than when it's wet. And just add a little bit more color. And now we wait for it to dry. Okay, so this is nice and dry, and as you can see, I added a little bit of yellow orange just because I don't like it to be, too uniform. I like it to have shades and layers. So for me this is perfect. And the next step is adding some more circles, and we can even overlap them with the first ones if we want. Now when we're overlapping them, we don't want to, you know, to add a line inside the circles we've already drawn, okay? We just go over it like this and we stop short of entering those first circles, okay? And since this is such a small paper and the circles I've chosen are so big, we're basically overlapping a lot of them. Okay, and now we paint all around the first circles, okay? These new ones, we are painting over them. And I know this is kind of different from what I did in my last videos, and that's the whole point, to show you some options. And this is my Schminke set. We're using transparent orange for this one. Now we don't need to make it as transparent as our first layer, but we don't want to make it, you know, very overpowering either. So this is what we do. Just going to first circle the shapes we don't want to cross over. After we've circled them, then we can paint more freely. Now you can even dab this with a piece of paper if you want, because for me, like I said, you know, making it all nice and uniform, I don't like it as much. I like, you know, the nuances, the several values inside a circle. I think it just looks better. Okay guys, and now we make it dry. Stick with me here, because now that this is dry, we're adding more circles. And I am just going to stop making the bigger ones because we are going, you know, deeper in. I'm just going to use these two from now on, trying to make life a little bit simpler for me and for you guys if you're making this along with me. And we've seen that little mug did not work, so we're going to forget about that one. And we're just going to use these two. And now we paint the background and these last circles, leaving the first two sets of circles untouched. And you see where this is going, right? We draw, we paint, we wait for it to dry, and then we do it all over again, and we keep doing it until we're happy with our results. And now we are using light red. And since I used so much paint here, I'm just going to use this to spread it around. Okay guys, we are down to our last layer. We're not going to add any circles this time. We're just going to paint around the circles that already exist. Let me just add my layer number here. And as you can see, the color is growing bolder and bolder. We are not really making it light at all. And now all we need to do is paint all around our circles, and that way we will be done. And I am going with, it's not really a purple, it's a burgundy really. What's it called? Let me see. Perylene violet is what Schminke Horadam calls it. And I think it will look quite perfect here. And for this one, we want it really like strong and then undiluted. We need it to be dark. We don't really need to add a lot of water to it, which makes the paint a lot thicker. Not really butter consistency. Have you watched those videos about the consistency of paint? So not really butter, but strong, dark. And I don't know if you guys can hear how much it's raining outside. It's pouring down. Summer is definitely over, guys. It's still warm, but it's raining like crazy. Now, as you can see, I wasn't extremely careful with my circles. There are a lot going over the lines. Which, if this was a proper painting, I would be upset about. But since it's really an exercise, I don't mind it that much. Now this last layer is tricky because you don't have a lot of room to paint. So you need to be extra careful. But we're almost there, guys. Let's turn this around. Can you see how pretty this is looking? Here is our fifth layer right here. Now I am aware that this is just like an exercise, but I can't not make it prettier. I just can't, I'm sorry. So bear with me, please. Really toothy paper. And here we have it, guys. This is what we're left with after our exercise. Now for me, I would just keep, going, doing some patterns in these circles, but I'm going to stop because that's not the point. This is a simple exercise for you to understand how negative painting technique works. And here we have it, the negative painting technique in bright colors, in simple, easy shapes, explained as clear and as simply as it possibly can be. Now, you can just trade these circles for whatever you want to draw, like flowers or trees or leaves or whatever you want, and you've got yourself a pretty cool work of art. Guys, I hope you had fun with this one. I know I had a blast, and that you will give it a try, please, and let me know how it went. Thank you for doing this with me, and I will see you really, really soon. Bye-bye.